January 5th, 2024, 2 p.m. We have present in the room, myself, Mr. Brogan, and Mrs. Harvey, with Mrs. Farley dialed in remotely and Mr. McBride unable to attend. Mrs. Harvey, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, item 3, we have approval of agenda or adjustments.
Make a motion, we pull R.T. Rogers Oil to be paid separately.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we pull R.T. Rogers from the bills and handle that one separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we will pull R.T. Rogers and handle that one separately. Any other adjustments?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as read with the aforementioned adjustment.
Okay, I'll second. Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by myself, that we approve the agenda read with the aforementioned adjustments. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the agenda has been approved as read with the one mentioned adjustment. Okay, item 4, we have presentations. This first one we have is Ms. Gum, principal at Hinton area, regarding signage.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
At first, I'll just tell you about how this came about, that we felt was a need. Our PTO has had this listed in our minutes for about 4 or 5 years, because what we were hearing from people that were coming into town, they didn't know how to find our building, because the only signage on our building, it used to be black letters about 8 inches tall that just, sorry.
Renee, are you muted on your end? I think you muted me. Renee, are you muted on your end?
No.
Okay, could you mute your phone? We're getting a little feedback here.
Can I mute it?
Yeah, if you can mute your phone, just.
You want to test it? Nope.
Renee, are you watching the YouTube? Or the video feed?
She can't talk about it.
She may be
She's
muted now.
now.
Go ahead.
She is
Sorry.
muted.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. So, there were complaints that they couldn't find our building because it didn't have signage on it. We did have Charlie several years ago paint those letters bright red to try to make it pop a little more. It's just on one side of the building. And then I went to Hobby Lobby and bought the big metal HAE sign for the front, because there was nothing on the main entrance sign at all. And so the PTO decided we'd start saving our money to buy a sign. Well, we had it in our head, we were going to do a digital sign. So we got estimates, and just the small ones were $28,000, and the next size up was $38,000. So then we looked at the one that was on the front of this board office, and we really liked what we saw. And so then I asked, well, we have this as a budget. I told them about $5,000. What can you do for us? I went through Fast Signs, and they gave me an estimate. It came out to be right around, for 2 of these, $5,200. And the plan is to put one on the side where you turn into Cross Street, where we have drop off and our buses come in, so that traffic going down the bridge would be able to see it on that side. And then on the opposite side, where they come up the bridge, put one on that side. So it will definitely be easy to find then. The thing is, we have enough in PTO to pay for this, but it would completely wipe us out. And PTO is good to have a little extra money in there because you can pay for things out of PTO funding that you can't, your other funds, such as food items and stuff like that. Like we always pay for the reception for our fifth graders when they do their step forward ceremony and different things like that that come up. So it would literally leave us $348 in the PTO account. So I had emailed Mr. Borval and asked, is there any funds available just to help us a little bit with this so that we're not completely draining our PTO? And that's where we are right now, I guess. So different fundraisers and stuff that we've done in the past for PTO. We do not have a big PTO. I was celebrating and doing a little dance for the last one because I had 5 parents there. Usually I have 1. Sometimes it's Mr. Durden, myself, Sonia, maybe Miss Grimmett or somebody. But what we had done in the past was when we were doing the carnivals pre-COVID, we would use the coronation portion. That would be strictly for PTO. And then we started selling the popcorn, purchased a popcorn machine, and we sold that 2 years ago. And then that wasn't quite meeting the popcorn recipe, and Dr. Knott found this wonderful smart ice cream, so we decided to make our ice cream sales the PTO fundraiser. I try to limit the number of fundraisers we have at our school, because look, we're low socioeconomic status, we're right at 70%. I don't want to burden our parents, so we try not to do fundraisers in excess of what we actually need to meet the needs of our school and our students. And we've managed not to have to do fundraisers since COVID until this year. We were told, go ahead and start because that COVID money is about to run out. And with us not having a levy, there's things that we're going to need. So that's where we are. So if there is any funding that at all that can just help us, we're not asking for anyone to pay for the whole thing, but just so that we have a little kitty left in PTO. We're still selling the ice cream, but that doesn't raise a whole lot at one time. So
Were you looking at around 2,500 or so?
that would be wonderful. I mean, I'd be happy with 1,000 just so we have something more left in our PTO.
Okay.
So, are there any questions?
That's pretty cut and dried. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. The next item we have is Miss Rebecca Brown, principal from Talcott, for their booster fundraising. And I think there were a few questions at the last meeting, so that's what I missed. And Ms. Farley, are you still able to hear? You may have to unmute to talk.
Unless you me text her.
Yep, there she is. Okay.
I'm watching the live stream and I'm able to see and hear.
Okay, I think that might have been where the feedback was coming from the live stream. That was Megan's. I'm giving you credit. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, Booster is a fundraising company. We are desperately trying to get a playground at Talcott. And when I priced playground equipment, I was kind of blown away. I thought, oh, we could probably do something with $20,000, maybe $50,000, but we're looking at more like $100,000, like easy. I was really surprised, actually. And so I was looking online to try to find the best fundraising ways. And you have to sell a lot of cookie dough to raise $100,000. So I came across Booster, which is a company, they do like catalog sales as well, but they have a platform that runs kind of like GoFundMe. And so they usually tie this fundraising campaign to an a-thon. So like a run-a-thon, a read-a-thon, a something. So kids get sponsorships and on this online platform. So you can share it via social media, families can text it, they can email, all of these things. And so all of the money is housed through Booster. So, whatever. So they would donate to the online platform through Booster. And then basically at the end of it, we have our big celebration, our big a-thon, and then they cut us a check. So what happens with that is if you get on to donate, there is a portion that they take. So they take 15% of whatever the total is. And so if you look at getting into percentages of small amounts, so if somebody's going to donate $15, you're going to take a chunk of that for that 15%. So what they do is they give donors the option to tip to cover that fee. And so what they ask donors to tip 10%, and then they do 5%, take 5% from the school. And so they have seen, there are a few other companies that do the same kind of thing, but some of them have like upfront costs, like Booster has no upfront costs. You really just book the date, get the information, make the agreement, and then schedule your on or catalog if you prefer to do that. That's not what we would like to do. And so we'd like to do a fundraising campaign to use their platform and then, put things out via social media and for our families digitally. And really, so then there's no upfront costs, no merchandise coming in. We're just taking in money, essentially. And they do lots of things to support you, like graphics and videos and different things, to explain what we're raising money for and all that kind of stuff. So, do you guys have questions about it, I assume?
I think Ms. Farley may have had some questions last meeting, but I'm not sure.
I think your profit margin might have been something that somebody mentioned about what do you guys stand to gain from $100 sale? What do you get?
So we would get 85 of those dollars. So if somebody donated $100, we get 85% of that, so if that person went online and they decided to tip, so Booster, like they'll put in their pledge amount, and then the way that they explained it to me was they just really have been able to kind of hone in on this language that really encourages people to make the most out of their donation. And so you put in your donation, you say, I want to give $100, and then they say, hey, did you know all of your money will go to the school if you donate this little bit, as the processing fee, essentially. So they call it tip. And so at that point, if you tip, then Booster only takes 5%. So we get 95 of those $100. Otherwise, it would be 85 out of 100.
So you're not selling anything, it's
Correct.
just donations.
Not selling anything, it's all just donation. And really, it's a sponsorship. So the kids, they might be sponsored $1 a lap, and they'll say, I'm going to run around the multi-purpose room 100 times, kind of thing. And then you have one big event day, and then you put that on and celebrate, and then close out your sale that way.
Have you had experience with this before using Booster?
I have not had experience. So I found it on social media. Many principals, people had just asked, like, hey, what's the best fundraiser? And Booster, it was like, Booster. Several schools said that they raised $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And I know that we are obviously a very small community, but our community is very proud they give back. And we can't necessarily reach, a Talk alumni who might live in Utah to get, to sell them cookie dough, but we could reach them if they would like to give us a donation. And so it's really just kind of ease of reaching out.
Okay.
Is your next big fundraiser your Purse Bingo? Is
So
that one coming up next?
it will be, first bingo is in April.
Okay. And you got a bigger gym now to fill it up, so.
We do. We're super excited
It
about
could
that.
be getting crazy for Purse Bingo, but
Yeah.
that's a little bit different.
That was from Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ms. Farley, do you have any questions? She may not be able to hear me.
My questions have been answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and do that here.
Sure.
Okay. And we're going to turn the floor over to Mr. Boone.
Okay, I got Larry Fowler, for those of y'all that don't know him, he's who we've been dealing with for the past 8 years in bus sales. And he's been in bus sales for 35 years. He's been looking at some electric buses back and forth. The ones that we first put in grants for that we didn't get was the green power buses. And they wouldn't cross the tracks due to the solid frame and the type of bus they were. Now there's a grant available for the exact same frame and body style bus that we have, the Thomas buses. So the lights, the body parts, things like that would interchange. you wouldn't be able to tell the difference in our Thomas bus and that bus other than the tailpipe. But I have Larry come up and give you some information on it.
Yeah. Hi, Larry Fowler, Big Motor Truck Company. And what we're talking about, the EPA has a clean school bus program. It's all part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill where they put $5 billion toward the purchase of electric school buses. Well, actually, clean school buses, because that you can use that for propane or CNG as well, but most all of it is going toward electric. We did have, and this one is actually not a grant, it is a rebate. They do both. The first round was a rebate. The state got 5 buses on that round. It's a lottery process. So even if you apply, there's no guarantee you're going to get it. So, you know, I'll get that out there up front, but.
We did apply, but
Right.
we didn't, but
Yeah,
we figured we wouldn't, but it doesn't hurt to try. That's all.
So, the first round was a rebate. We were actually awarded 1 bus and Ware County Schools got that. We delivered it last September. They've been running it. They had no problems. They like the bus. It works well. And that's the beauty of the electric vehicle in a school bus application. School buses have dedicated routes, so range is the only limitation to EV. Because, you know, your battery can only get you so far, and then it takes some time to charge it. So it's not like a gasoline or a diesel vehicle where you can take 5 minutes and fuel up. It's going to take you some time when you have to charge that battery. So in a school bus world, bus goes out, runs its route in the morning, you know, uses 30-40% of the battery, and you plug it in, and you got a full charge for the afternoon. You do the same thing in the afternoon, plug it in overnight, the next morning. So it's a great application for EV vehicles. This program, the rebate program, will, if you're selected, it will give you $345,000 toward the purchase of an electric bus. If you get a lift-equipped bus, which is, I'm recommending people do, because you'll get an extra $20,000. And to put the lift on the bus does not cost $20,000. It might only cost half that. So you get more bang for your buck that way. You're going to get $365,000. That does not cover any of the charging infrastructure. All that would have to, you know, be paid for out of your existing budget. Chargers will cost anywhere on the low side from $12,000 to $15,000 to $35,000, $40,000 if you want to go that extreme. There's even more expensive ones than that, but the charger we sold Ware County was in the lower range, and it's working fine for them. The benefits for the county of having the electric bus is because it's about 3 times the cost of a diesel bus, it increases your fleet value. So that brings more money back to the county through bus allocation and by increasing your fleet value. It's an alternatively fueled vehicle, so the state gives you an extra 10% for that as well. Because it's electric and not diesel, it's pennies on the dollars cheaper to run an electric vehicle versus a diesel. Where I got one of the Green Power people, matter of fact, told me they plugged their bus up in Clarksburg, charge it up, cost them $38. If you had to fill up a diesel bus, you're probably talking a couple hundred. So, you know, your cost per mile is going to be a lot less. Your maintenance will be less. You don't have oil changes. You're basically going to have brake jobs. You know, your
Windshield
wipers, simple stuff. Now, obviously, you know, there could be other things happen on this because it doesn't have a diesel motor. It's got an electric motor, but your drivetrains is warranted for 5 years, 150,000 miles. The battery, which is the big ticket item, is 8 years, 175,000 miles. So to me, it's a good deal. Even the money that you spend is on the charger. Whatever you do on the charging side is reimbursed at, I'm guessing you're what, 95%?
We are.
Is reimbursed back to you from the state at 95%. So the only money that wouldn't be reimbursable would be the difference between the 365,000 and I'm estimating the bus will be 395 to 400,000 with air conditioning, since you guys get air conditioning. So for what it's going to give you over the life of the vehicle, I mean, that's a small price to pay. And I just think it's a good opportunity for you to add another bus to your fleet, to get a feel for electric vehicles, because I mean, it's starting to look, like it is going to be the future one of these days. So I think that there's a little bit of EV anxiety on the car side, but boy, they're really pushing it hard on the commercial side, especially with school buses. I guess I'll see whatever questions you might have.
So I don't know if you mentioned it, but a grant was originally talked about, and you said
There was a grant recently.
So what's the difference in the grant and the rebate?
The rebate is very simple. I'll hand you these.
You
I'll
want
start here.
copies for you?
Yeah, you can do that, but
Yeah, we'll get you copies real quick.
yeah.
Is this one where you do front?
And these are basically just like permission slips, okay?
Is it just one or do it like this?
Do both, they're different. One is a board awareness, and the other one is a superintendent awareness or a transportation. Basically, the EPA wants to know that the county's on board with doing it. Because what happened in the first round of rebates, they didn't require this. And we're doing a third party, I'm here to talk about a third party application. You can apply on your own. If you've got a SAMS.gov account, you can apply on your own. But then you'd have to do all the paperwork and stuff. If we do it, we take care of all that stuff. We do all the application. We help you through the whole process. The other part, to get a bus, you got to give up a bus. So one of your oldest buses in your fleet, anytime you do with EPA or DARA, they require you to either destroy, if it's a 2010 or older. If it's newer than 2010, it can be destroyed, sold, or given away. So those are your options. But I don't know that you have any buses older than 2010, do you?
We're close. We
Thought we had one or two.
Yeah, I think we got two.
Okay, but it's a small price to pay. I mean, anytime you get a bus, you're usually going to give up a bus anyway. And even when you sell them, you don't get a lot for them. So it's not like it's a big loss if you have to destroy it.
So with the rebate, are we required to pay up front and then get a rebate back?
No. And now the rebate, basically, we're making the application on your behalf. The money comes to us. We give you, basically, we would give you the bus you will own. And all you would be required to pay the difference. And the rebate comes ahead of the bus. So we would get that money before the bus was ever delivered. So at the time of delivery, you would only be asked to pay for the balance.
Would that be just quick math? That's $40,000 to $60,000 difference?
Right.
We would pay out of our.
It would be, I'm going to say, because if we do it with the lift, it's 365. So I'm saying 35, 40 tops.
Okay.
Plus the charging station.
Yes.
Plus the charging station.
Are those a universal charge? Did we take a universal charge?
It's a CCS one. So it's a standard, basically, charger. It'll charge. It's a DC fast charge. It will charge any vehicle that has the right connector, and the one we use is like an industry standard. So most cars have them. Our Fords.
Teslas.
We charge a Ford Lightning and a Hummer on my charger that my bus charges on.
So there's a charging station at the,
We'd have to have one at the bus garage.
we would, but there's one at the
city,
the building. right
Technology
above it.
building.
building.
Is it,
Technology center.
is it a DC fast charger?
It's one of the
Larry,
Tesla
do you mind-
chargers.
Larry, do you mind checking that out?
Tesla won't work.
It won't, with
You
an
mind checking
adapter.
that out before you leave us though today?
I can find that
That's
out.
all I need you to do is just, I mean,
Yeah,
We'll stop.
Tesla, and now Tesla is
take a picture.
changing their plan, because when Tesla came out, all their chargers only worked on Teslas. And that's been part of the holdback with people people accepting EVs, because, if you can't find a place to charge your vehicle, it's not a good thing to have. So Tesla had a great network of chargers set up across the country. I can go to about any Sheets, you'll see them in hotels, restaurants, a lot of places. But you won't see a lot of other chargers there. Now, there's also some money in this bipartisan infrastructure to put chargers every 50 miles on the corridor, and the state's actually going to get money to do this, and they're working on it. So in a few years, on 64, 77, Route 50, you're going to see DC fast chargers that'll charge anything every 50 miles
So you said this is by lottery.
by lottery.
So do you know how many buses are going to be available for this round?
400 million or more.
So
Now-
are we or is it a lottery nationwide or is it?
Nationwide.
Okay.
Now, every state will get some. So, I think the odds are pretty good. You'd be surprised at the counties that aren't applying. Now, they have prioritized counties and non-prioritized counties. Summers is a prioritized county, which means that they get the $345,000 plus the 20. If you're non-prioritized, you get $200,000. So there's not as much of an incentive for someone that's not prioritized to do it. So I think it's a good opportunity, and for what it's going to cost, which is minimal, I think the benefits far outweigh the negative.
And I guess we need to make sure we have the power at the bus garage to.
Which I looked at that today,
Okay.
and you definitely got three-phase power there,
Mhm.
and it looks like it not be a problem. I would get an electrician to look at it, and say something were to come up, even after you were selected, and you'd say, you know what, we changed our mind. That's what happened in the first round. There were, of the first round, they increased them from 450 million to 900. About half that got turned back in because counties either changed their minds or people applied on their behalf without their permission and they weren't aware of it and they didn't want it for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, there were a lot of awards that were turned down in the first round. So that's why they're doing these little permission slips. They're trying to minimize the people that would turn them down, but it can still be done.
Okay.
Where, if they break down, where do they go from here?
Our store in Beckley service is just the same as
Okay.
do the buses you have today.
Okay.
Like Brian mentioned, the Green Power bus, our bus is the same bus that you have today. It'll go anywhere those buses go. It doesn't have any ground clearance limitations, any height limitations. It is physically, if you look at it, it's the same bus. The only difference is instead of having a diesel engine in it, it's got, batteries and an electric motor. So we obviously have different technicians trained to work on this because, it's a different type power supply. But no, the body itself from the frame up is the same bus that he has today. So the mechanics in his shop can still work on the stuff that they work on today.
Is there a difference between those buses?
The
And
bus is about
obviously
3,000 pounds heavier.
the
than
distribution
its diesel
is
counterpart.
spread the length of the bus versus?
It's actually the 3,000 pounds is in a better place because of the battery packs are between the frame rails and the center of the bus.
Closer to the rear
It's-
axle.
It spreads it between the front and rear more evenly, more so than by putting the 100-gallon fuel tank behind the axle, which kind of takes a little weight off the front end. So now you pretty much even the payload back from front axle to rear axle. Work County, their mechanic told me that he feels like, driving, he can notice the difference driving it versus the diesel bus. He says he likes the way it handles better. So yeah, it is heavier.
Okay. Any other questions?
Brian, I'm assuming you wouldn't have the man here if you didn't think it was a good idea.
No, I think it would be good, but whether kind of pushing us that way, I wouldn't want to go all in, but I think it would be good if we was awarded one to at least keep us and have the knowledge and, information coming to us. And that way, if they did push it and we had to go that route, we would know what was going on versus, having to been all.
And our toes have already been in the water.
Yeah, and I don't think if it didn't end up that way, that one bus is not gonna sink.
So you would apply for the grant. We would not make a decision on, because this would require, I'm assuming because of the cost of the purchase, a board decision. So we would make a decision on proceeding if we get the grant to go ahead and put the addition.
Yeah, basically all I'm asking today is just permission to
To move
apply
forward.
on your behalf.
Okay.
And like, you're gonna have time to mull it over, think about it and back out at any time.
Since we're already using the word opt-in and opt-out with something else, we can opt in or opt out later.
That's
what you're
a
saying.
fact, yeah.
Okay. I
Uh,
think also with Mr. Boone, I don't know, if we were talking about how he already knows that we've talked about a new roof at the CT building. If we would get something like this, that would offset that cost to maybe shove the money from a new bus that costs over 100,000 towards a roof system, because it would help move a little bit, but we keep our fleet value up too. So that's kind of the thought process. Am I missing anything, Boone?
Yeah, it would definitely raise our fleet and would make that hit a whole lot less.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
That's if everything went perfect.
Yeah, and EPA only requires you to keep the bus for 5 years. So after you had the bus and you decided, well, after 5 years, it's like, this isn't for us. You can do whatever you want. You own it. It's yours. There are no strings once you have it.
Is there a deadline to do the application?
The
Is that-
31st.
31st.
That's why I'm here today.
Then I would suggest that we put it on agenda for vote for application for our next meeting, which would be the 23rd, so that everything's
Okay.
on board.
Does that give you enough time?
That gives me enough time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll put that on the agenda for our the 23rd. We can have Brian or Mr. Ward will reach out to you.
And that's fine. And if you want to learn any more about it, you can go to the Clean School Bus website and it'll tell you more than you want to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom.
sir.
Thanks. Thank you.
And good seeing you again.
Yeah. good seeing you.
All right, item 5, public comment.
There are none.
Item 6, we have the minutes from the December 21st, 2023 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the minutes from the December 21st, 2023 regular meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 If she can hear me or not. Okay, there you go. All right, any opposed, abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by 4-0 vote that the December
I
21st.
have a delay on this end.
Okay. Let the minutes reflect by 4-0 vote that the December 21st regular meeting minutes have been approved.
That's annoying.
Approval of bills.
I'm trying to, I'm thinking about how to fix that problem.
I wondered what he was doing.
All right, we have before us the bill for RT Rogers.
Make a motion that we pay RT Rogers.
Okay, I'll second. Have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by myself, that we approve the payment of RT Rogers Oil. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote with Mr. Brogan recusing himself that the RT Rogers bill has been approved for payment. Okay, we have before us now the remainder of the bills. I just want to reiterate again, thank you for this color copy. I had questions until you sent that this morning, and now I have no questions now. So I'll make a motion that we pay the remaining of the bills.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve payment for the remainder of the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the remainder of the bills have been approved for payment. All right, now we're at item 8, discussion or possible action regarding contributions to the Hinton Area Sign Project with PTA and future county-wide PTA projects. So we heard Ms. Gumbs' presentation, about $5,200 for the sign. We've talked a little bit about what we could do to support the schools. The concern that we have is, do we want to set an amount so that if another school does raise 15,000, they don't ask us for the other 15 for a digital sign or what, and I guess the other piece of this, it really comes down to where we are at the particular time as a board with funds, whether we're able to contribute or not.
I have mixed thoughts. I think it's ridiculous that a school needs to pay for their own sign,
I've thought the same.
but at the same time, the point you've already made, the difference in digital and
Yeah.
this by chance isn't something that our graphics class could help with at all, is it?
I think they do this type of sign. They do more like banners and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I mean, we have enough at PTO.
Right.
Wipe us out right now. We'll have to build back up. But, I mean, I'm just doing it just in case we could get a little bit of help, but I perfectly understand if, I know the shape the county is getting ready to go into.
We're at the edge of the cliff.
Yeah.
Expired.
So, Ms. McClung, I'm going to kind of point the fingers at you for a minute. Are there any funds that we could pull from? And if have to be out of account.
There's no one turn that down.
I'm sorry.
That we could use for anything like that.
So you're the money person. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I support helping the schools for stuff like this. I just do think there needs to be a limit, or we could look at it individually where we are at that point in time. But I mean, if we we have money, it don't be a problem until they come into the schools to help them out.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I feel like it's ridiculous for you to have to spend any of your money for a sign for your school.
What
It's
if
the
we-
Board of Education.
What if I call Fast Signs and tell them, if you keep it at $5,000, the Board of Ed will just pay for this and let's move on? Because if it goes over 5,000, if it's at 5,200, guess what we have to do?
You gotta put it
Get
out.
it out, yeah, so Fast Signs might want our business, say, look, why don't you do like you did us? Because ours, that was 5,000 for that sign.
I already sent an email earlier today to ask Billy Fast Signs.
Take
and
200
then
off?
Negotiate the price to me. So,
But I get what you guys are saying. It's a push and pull, but they're the only ones right now that are in need of a sign. The other two buildings, all three elementaries are gonna need help with playground equipment. I don't think all three need help with a sign right now, because the other two have nice marquee signs. I mean, who wouldn't want digital? But they're not cheap, so that's just my 2 cents worth.
Game to pay half.
and Mr. Warble, I mean, I think Fast Signs would work with us to get it under 5,000. Like I said, I'm not saying this has been a PTA project for years.
Right.
We're glad to pay for part of
We'll
it.
pay 1,000 out of mine.
That's what the members have said.
Oh, I know. So, as board members, we're paid to be here today. I'll pay $1,000 out of my own pocket from this stuff to go towards your all sign, and I'll make a motion that the board pay $1,600 towards the balance. That would give you $2,600 towards your $5,200.
Don't waste it, Jane. To our students and their schools. All of you are.
That was a motion?
I
That's a
will
motion.
pay today's board meeting money toward the fund.
Okay. I'll get it done in the notes, right?
Okay.
We'll get a number right there, so.
So the motion is that the board
Right.
pay $1,600.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that the board pay $1,600 toward the signage for Hinton Area Elementary. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the board has approved $1,600 towards the Hinton Area Elementary sign project. And if you can still talk them down to 5,000, that'd be great.
We'll do that.
Item B, we have discussion possible action to approve the booster fundraising. I'll make a motion that we approve this fundraising. Motion by myself, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the Talcott Elementary booster fundraising. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You could probably hang up and call her right back and then cut that
Yeah.
delay.
Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the Talcott Elementary booster fundraising has been approved.
Good luck, ma'am. I hope you kill it.
Mrs. Farley mentioned it at the last meeting, and I remember rockathons, sitting in a rocking chair all night long, trying to stay awake as you rocked back and
How about she just sends you an email and we'll do it that way?
All right, so new business, item 9A, discussion or possible action regarding McKinsey mass action lawsuit.
Yeah, basically, I appreciate you guys being flexible because this came out of left field for everybody to hurry up. We're not the only board trying to get together. Just to let you guys know, there's all the paperwork's in front of you. I know I've also sent this to you so you guys could peruse it, but basically, we're over 25 to 30 counties that are already moving to opt out. We'd be in that category as well. Opting out at this point in time, from my understanding, isn't going to hurt us. If we'd want to opt back in, I think there's a February deadline we have to meet to get back in. But right now, from what I understand from their attorneys, there's no cost except for if they win, then they would take their piece off the top and then give it to the whole state that was in this category of opting out with working with this legal company. And then talking with Trey, he basically said the same thing. I don't think it's going to hurt you, but I'd make sure that if you can, could you opt back in? Is that a possibility? From what I understand, from everything I read, unless you guys are interpreting different, that's kind of where I'm at with it at this point in time. I've asked the questions to the gentleman, and I forwarded it to you as he's giving me information, but it looks like there's quite a number of counties that are looking at opting out. For those people who are listening and why we're doing that, it's because there is opioid settlement, but we would have to apply for that settlement with all the other 50 states. We're not guaranteed any money, but if we opt out, this attorney can negotiate on behalf of the county schools in West Virginia who have been hit the hardest in all 50 states to say, listen, these people shouldn't have to fight to get money for their people. We should be able to have a piece of this pie without everybody trying to get a few $1,000 is what it would come down to. If we get lucky, we'd only get a few $1,000s. By the time you split up $25 million, that's nothing. I don't want people to think 25 million isn't a lot, but when you start dividing it between all these school districts, it's not a whole lot of money. So that's why the opting out has become a hot topic item in the last 2 weeks, basically.
And even that's not guaranteed from what the
No.
paperwork said, is that this is applications.
Nope.
And so if we do opt out, and my understanding and reading the language too, is if we do opt out, we can still apply for grant monies from other settlements, just not this
Correct.
company.
That's how I understand it too, yes.
And is there a plan for the award amount to West Virginia if this settlement were to win?
The plan is what I've.
Would it be a grant monies like what the national settlement will be? And
From my understanding is this company being from West Virginia and fighting for us, we would get our money and then they would divide it up about how many kids that you probably would have in your school district, from my
so it would
understanding.
be awarded instead of a grant application.
Correct, because we're already part of that group. We're in that group saying you're guaranteed to get something. Now that something is, I don't know. It could be what I just said earlier. It could get to a few $1,000s. Could be nothing. There's no guarantee on this one. That's why we have to have this meeting to see, do you want to just, we don't have to do anything. There's nothing that says you have to do anything, but we did have to have the meeting by today because they needed it postmarked today saying you're in or you're out.
And if we do nothing, we're in.
Yes.
So,
So if we send nothing, that means we're automatically staying in and we're not opting out. So I don't want to give any confusion to it, but when I was on vacation, I had Chad sit in on the meeting on Friday. Am I missing anything with the bullet points, Chad?
The lawyer who spoke for the superintendents indicated that he felt strongly that the counties that opted out would receive more money. I mean, that's his opinion, than staying in the class action lawsuit. So, that's the only additional.
oh, we just lost Renee. I think I read, and I may be wrong, I may have made this up, but I think I read that if we opt in,
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach.
then we are bound by the terms of that particular settlement, and we may not be eligible for funds from any other settlement. Did they say that to you on?
I think that's the reason of opting out.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Worrell said, I mean, that amount of money is being placed in a pot for all Board of Education across the country, and they have to apply to get.
Oh.
I'm sorry, the person you were trying.
Okay.
So also, as in reading through the paperwork, it looked like majority of the impacted students would be, students that would be eligible for IDEA funds. So Dr. Knott, I'd be interested in your feedback and insights into this.
I think what they're, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what is going on with the opioid crisis is a lot of these people a lot of people got hooked on prescription. It isn't illegal, it was prescription. So what that means is, as a woman, if you had a child, obviously that child is now affected by opioids, which then is a chain reaction in the classroom. So what they're saying is those children
There's more,
were
and that's
labeled.
what the paperwork said, is
Yeah.
that there's more special ed cases, there's
Right.
more children that are falling under IEP plans and
Mhm.
impacted by this. So therefore,
Causing a greater expense to the county.
Right, so you could use those monies to help support those children, kind of like we're doing now with wraparound services with communities and schools, more social workers, people with behavioral therapy behind their name. And one of those people that we're working on right now is Marty Mann. She's been doing that. So that's part of that IDEA part that they were talking about, with these children coming to us physiologically different than a kid who had a mom who was smoking or drinking alcohol, fetal syndrome. Now you have this opioid effect. So you have more kids identified now.
yeah.
Based on what I read from what was sent to us, and based on Trey's interpretation, I feel like opting out is probably our best option. But again, we may see money from it. We may not see money from it either way we go.
Right.
So I'll make a motion that we opt out of the McKinsey mass action lawsuit.
I'll second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we opt out of the McKinsey mass action lawsuit. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote that we have chosen to opt out of the McKinsey mass action lawsuit. All right, so item B, discussion related to Board of Education legal representation. This was talked a little bit about at our last meeting. Currently, we use Bowles Rice. Previously, we've used Dinsmore and Shoals, and then Steptoe and Johnson was also brought up as a potential legal representation. I guess, and I'll let any of you all speak that would like, I would kind of like, and I don't know if you could do this for us, either one of you, I'd kind of like to know hourly rate, what each one of them charge. So we know Bowles Rice has a team that specializes in education law. I would like to know, Dinsmore and Shoals, Steptoe and Johnson, how many do they have that specialize in education law? Along with the hourly rate, is there, are we paying mileage if they come to us? Do they normally do, and you may know from Dinsmore and Shoals from Greenbrier County, do they do any virtual meetings versus coming to you?
I can get it.
Yeah.
I can get all that information.
So
As soon as
that's,
you get all that information and bring it back to you.
those are my thoughts. Anyone else?
If either one of the entities would be interested in coming and giving a
Yeah.
presentation, that would be welcome
Okay.
as well.
Yeah.
I will reach out to the three, and if you guys find any more, just let me know the firm, and I don't have a problem reaching out to anybody.
Okay.
On your Bowles Rice, when you guys asked at the last board meeting to have deadlines,
Mhm.
I just decided to staple on the back side. I got a letter this week here's hourly rate for Bulls Rice, so you got that one. So it was kind of interesting because they sent it, they said the 2024 schedule of fees. Now, the only thing is it doesn't answer, Mr. President, your question on necessarily the travel rate and that stuff, but we can find the rest of that out. That won't be an issue, but
Okay,
at least that's a dip your toe in the water there.
Yep.
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions?
That's all I got.
Okay. All right, item C, purchases over 25,000. We have the Web Filter classroom management software, 3-year licensing agreement, 26,746. So do we know, is this, I'm assuming Web Filter, this is to limit where they can go, what they can
Yes.
see.
It's a protection.
And this 26,000 covers the 3-year agreement?
Yes, and it's cheaper to do the 3-year than it is to do it by year, so that's the reason there.
Okay.
So is that a one-time payment now, or is it this over the 3-year period? Or this split up into the 3-year period?
I don't know that answer.
Well, I mean, because if it's ARP funding, did I misunderstand? Is there limitations to multi-year contracts
Well, if this is a
or
one,
multi-year agreements?
I'd rather we just pay it all up front. If we can use ARP funding for that, then we'll just spend it all right now. Because we get 2 birds with 1 stone. You got your 3 years.
But that's what I'm asking,
Yeah.
is this 26,000, is this the full amount for the 3-year period? Or is it 26,000 each year, or is it 26,000 split up into 3-year payments?
From my understanding, it was for 3 years for 26,746.
Paid up front?
Yes,
And is that,
but we can ask Daniel more, and I think
It's a one-time amount, but to answer the second part of your question, I don't know that, so
okay.
I'm gonna ask Brett.
And the classroom management piece of that, how does that work as opposed to the web? I understand the web filter, but is the classroom management software that the teachers can use? And I'm putting you on the spot, I know, I apologize.
I don't know.
Is, I know you're reaching out to Daniel, is he working today?
Yeah.
So you'll hear back from him?
Yeah, I should.
you just want to move the
Let's,
table. it.
yeah, let's table this and we'll come back to it.
26K is all paid up front.
Okay.
And then, so my other question still stands, or is that the fact that this is a 3-year agreement, is that allowable under the ARP federal guidelines?
What, to pay that now for the next 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, what they're saying is we can't go into other years because we have to have it paid now. We can't say, well, this is going on, therefore we wanted to use that money back when we had it. So we have to spend it now.
Even for future services?
So far that's kind of allowable.
Yeah,
We
that-
have done it with other things such as like the textbooks that come with a 6-year online program with it and stuff. We've not been told no so far, but as we all know, all of this changes as we go. So I'm not gonna say yes or no for sure, but as of now, we think it's okay.
You just want to table it till he finds out that other answer?
Yeah, if we could, because I would be curious to know, like, classroom management piece of it, how that will benefit. Obviously, I know how web filters are going to benefit. I just would be curious how the classroom management will benefit the teachers.
Right.
So, okay, we'll come back to it. Item 10, we have personnel. We have one, Selena Foster, special or multi-categorical special ed teacher for a leave of absence, January 2nd through February 12th.
Make a motion that we accept the recommendation for the leave of absence.
I'll second.
Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the leave of absence. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote that leave of absence for Selena Foster has been approved. Superintendent report.
I mentioned the deadlines for the remainder of the year. That was a 2-for-1 for the Bowles Rice. Middle school building addition, today after the board meeting. I think it'd be good if you guys could see it. I mean, they're getting paint, a lot of stuff getting done. The block that's being laid around the gym is getting, moving along pretty quickly. So as long as we keep having this type of weather, things should move about it. And, but so far we haven't had any other delays or big snafus. The big thick packet of information I have, it starts with a yellow page. And it talks about the comprehensive, I went ahead and stapled all together, CSI grant that deals with our 2 elementaries and our secondary high school, middle school building. There are information, I know I've given this to you before, but this first page you've had before in a board report, but I thought, well, it'd just be good to have it again. You can see some dates there. They usually have people come from the state and meet with us once a month. Sometimes it's twice, depending on holidays and people's schedules, because people do get sick or have children that get sick or someone can't make it. And then the blue sheet, I know there was a question on the report that was given at the secondary level. This is done in a way that it doesn't go into personnel laws, but you guys have a report on what was said basically in a nutshell. So that all this stapled together is all about the CSI schools. The next big thick paperwork is something I'm going to go over with my directors and the principals next week. We do now have guidance on artificial intelligence. This is going to be, at this point in time, this is what will most likely be approved at the state level. Don't ask me any questions because I haven't read it yet either. I just printed this out and it's just very, very new. So you see at the bottom, it says version 1.0. And this is already, when you look at it, it's 40 pages worth of information. So long story short, that's in your packet of information. I also made sure that last board, well, 2 board meetings ago in December, when we were talking about retroactive, we were talking about payroll periods, and we talked about one way we could fix it, and it went out today, was I highlighted that we put there on the bottom that all employees must be hired by the Summers County Board of Ed before being paid for a position. No employee will be paid for work prior to being hired. I think that was one thing that we all agreed that would be best for people to know up front. So, and then I had Denise, I know jokingly, we have all decided to figure out how to get these policies to make it easier to read, and I don't disagree with the thought process. This is easier for me as well. But if you guys come up with better ideas, please let us know, because if it's trouble for you all, then it's trouble for our general population who read it. And I don't want to frustrate people. There was a question that was brought up. I don't know if one of you brought it up or one of us brought it up, but there was a question about if something's been repealed, why does it have to keep staying out there? The only thing that I know, and I haven't got legal Trey's opinion yet, but I will get it eventually. But sometimes when you have a law, and I'll use Title IX as a great example. Title IX got revamped, and then it got revamped like 2 years later. So sometimes people have to understand, like with the law that was done, this, if there was something that was decided, people have to understand those were the rules here versus now you have a new set of rules. So if someone goes back and says, well, wait a minute, why did you get that? That didn't apply to me. Well, maybe because that wasn't a law or it got repealed. So I think what we might want to do is maybe put off to the side, repeal policies so people can see that. But I don't want to confuse them with the newest version either. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just letting you guys know what we're trying to work through. I apologize for being wordy here, but I wasn't sure if one of you brought it up or if it was brought up in our own central office with conversations about, you know, cleaning up our policies for people to look at. But I got to go through this real quick to see what else I got here. Oh, and the last one is you guys asked about the levy order. Cassandra and I were able to talk to Roger Hunter. You guys met him a couple of meetings ago. He will be here next Tuesday, January 9th at 11 o'clock. He said if you could get one board member who'd be interested in being at the meeting, that's fine. But he said, we got to reverse it, go back 100 days to when the levy is going gonna be voted on to today. He said, basically, the rule of thumb is you look towards the middle of February, is when you gotta have that levy order to your county offices. So we asked the county clerk, when is our dead drop last day? And they want that to them by February 20th. So that gives us time to have our board meeting on the 23rd of this month, and then possibly the first board meeting in February. But let's start on the 9th, which is next week, to start moving forward, because once you all make an approval of the levy order cannot change after that. Once it's been made, you cannot change it, because then that means this is what the people who are voting know exactly what it is. Right now, it's a bunch of talk on ideas that we're going with. That's fine. But once we get to that levy order, after that, we got to state a script, if that makes sense. So that's where we're at. So if you need those dates again, the last dead drop date is February 20th to have it to our county clerk. But next January 9th, next Tuesday at 11 o'clock, Mr. Hunter will be here with us, which is nice because he's going to be at the board meeting for Greenbrier County that evening. So really we have him until he needs to get over to Greenbrier. So whether it's an hour or a couple hours, I think it would be worth our time to really sit down and hammer through all the legalities so we can get it tight for the next board meeting. And then we move forward, if that makes any sense.
What time did you say he'd be?
11 o'clock here at the board office.
All right.
Yeah. But let's say he's here at 11, and let's say one of you say, hey, I can be here and maybe work during my lunch hour. Well, that's fine too. I need opinion from the Board of Education to say, this is what would work, or I think this is what, because ultimately that one person, it's hard to speak for our board, but you have to have someone at least go through working and making the sausage, if you will. So when we have a board meeting, we can all say, well, this is what was talked about. But Mr. Hunter said he can come to the board meeting, the next one, to also walk everybody through all three of us working together as well, or I should say four, including him.
So it'll have to be hammered out. So if I'm getting this right.
Yeah.
Let's just say we bring in $1.2 million.
Okay.
We have to, before it goes to the courthouse.
Yeah.
We have to say this percentage will go to this percentage will go to that.
In layman's terms, yes, we have to say what we want. So those three items, we want the money to go to these three items.
Can you just say we want to use the money for this, this, and this, but we don't have to designate how much goes to?
We do have to designate.
Okay, that was
Yes,
my question.
yes.
A dollar amount.
We do
So
have
there's a
to.
very specific formula of how you create an estimate of it. And then you have to put in an exact dollar amount for each pool that you're going to. And then.
Even though you don't know what those
even though
amounts
you don't know
are.
exactly what it is, you have
That
to
was
put
my
in
point.
specific dollars. I think it goes down to the dollar.
It does.
But there is language in all levy orders of what to do if there's a shortfall or surplus in that levy.
And those are good questions, Mr. Brogan, because it's hard to predict because we don't know what money can come in, but it's a guesstimation right now. But at least we have an attorney that says limited, but not limited to, or whatever they use verbiage to say it's going to be this amount is what we think we're going to, for lack of better words, drum up for that earmarked area. I don't know how to say it, but that we have to say it'll be this, this, and this. If we break it into three, like we've been saying the whole time.
Yeah.
I have two more, sorry.
That's fine.
The other two are, we officially have started the audit with Fife Jones. Now, when I say we officially, they're not on premises, but we've officially started where if they start asking questions, we need X, we can give it to them before they actually come on site, but it's been official. We've started the audit process. And then the last thing I wanted to hand you all, this is just me dipping my toe in the water. This is, when we talk about that climate culture survey that we've been talking about with, I'll email you guys because I don't want to, you guys can manipulate it. I went ahead and put together some questions that deal a lot with climate and culture for employees only, because I think that's what we want to start with, correct? Our employees, how they feel. Okay, you guys can just go ahead and wordsmith the heck out of this and tear it up and say, I don't like this, you're not gonna hurt my feelings, but I need to start somewhere with you all before going to the company and saying, we wanna put it like this. Now, please know that I will email you a copy so you can say, I'm gonna put in my color, let's say Mr. Brooks says, I'm gonna put all my comments in red. Then Greg said, Angel says, I'm gonna put my comments in green. Maybe we can see where we need to go with this survey, so then I can give it to the company and let them put it together for us before we give it to our employees. This is me just trying to get it going. Again, you guys might not even like it at all, and that's fine too. It is not gonna hurt my feelings. My thing was, I just wanted to get something together for you all to say, I get a survey as an employee, and this is what my opinion is in my workplace in my specific building, without saying it's their specific building. All questions say, I feel, or my school, and it just lets them answer. And it's a Likert scale of 1 to 5, strongly agree to strongly disagree, with 3 in the middle being they're basically neutral. They don't agree or disagree. But the last two, there are 2 questions at the end that have a yes, no, or I'm unable or unsure, I'm not sure of. And that deals with, are you aware that there are mental and wellness supports available for staff? And have you ever used any of the supports to improve your mental health or your wellness? Because we do provide that, but I don't think many people take advantage of that. So I would assume most people would say, I'm unsure about that. And if that's the case, then we need to look at that and make sure people know we are here to help support them. But that's just kind of in a nutshell. I know I threw a lot at you guys, but I'll be glad to email it to you and you can manipulate it.
Okay,
That's all I have, Mr. President.
thank you. Did you find anything out?
I can report back.
Okay,
So currently, we're paying $4,000 a year for the web filter fees,
okay,
and $9,000 a year for the classroom management fees, which is $13,000. So with the utilizing advanced technology, lock in that rate, 3 years, pay it up front, and that's a savings, and you can do that. So a little over $12,000 savings. So we're saving that much money. But to answer your question regarding classroom management, it will allow the teachers to see what their students are doing on their Chromebook.
yeah, the Google Classroom, that's what it was. Google Classroom and the integration there. Okay, that answers my
So it's a
question.
direct replacement with what we're currently using, with a few extra bells and whistles.
And a few less dollars.
And
All right. Well, I want to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the web filter classroom management software for the 3-year license agreement.
I'll second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the web filter classroom management software for the 3-year license agreement. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote that purchase has been approved. Item 12, discussion of next agenda. It's going to be January 23rd at 5 p.m. at the Summers County Comprehensive High School. They'll have their LSIC meeting, and I want to apologize to Summers County High School. We've pushed them off 2 times.
I think it's worked out better, honestly.
Yeah, so we will try our best to keep this meeting on the 23rd so they can have their LSIC.
Well, just to let you know, is what we're going to do after that is we're going to have an LSIC each month now.
Okay.
And just get it knocked out. January,
Yeah.
February, March, April, like that.
Okay.
I don't know if this is something necessarily needs to be on the agenda. It's just something that I've been wondering about for a while. Maybe you can answer it now, or if it's something we need to talk about at a different time. Going back a few years when we got the mobile hotspots throughout the county,
Mhm.
where is this stuff? Is it still being used?
No, it's not being used anymore.
Well, Ken Lester presented to us when he was pitching it that we could possibly use it on the school buses.
Mhm.
maybe we need to look at that.
We could.
Explore that.
We should have the equipment, but as far as it being live, no, it's just a nice antenna right now. Basically, it's not working.
Are we paying for it?
Huh?
Are we paying for it?
No, that all shut down a while back.
If we did use it on the school bus, though, we would then pay a fee.
Yes, because once you activate them, yes.
Well, just information on
No.
it. Maybe.
Um,
Isn't there some sort of a tracking system that other counties have that we don't, as far as pre-K kids being on buses or if they are ordered being on buses?
yes, there is one. We do
With
have,
the hotspots.
yeah, there is that capability. I can look into how
Get
much
some
it costs.
information on
Yeah.
that, yeah.
All right, we also have, as previously we talked about through this agenda, for the next meeting, January 23rd, we'll have discussions and action regarding the electric bus, EV bus rebate, and also the levy order. Any other items you all think of?
That's all I got.
All right, Mr. Brogan, I'll let you do the honors for item 13.
Time is 3:17. Let's adjourn.